Of 2000, my house caught on fire, and I had 2 boys and 2 girls, and in the fire, my 13-year-old daughter and my 9-year-old daughter died. It was a very difficult time between my leg and my vision, the loss of my house, the loss of my daughters. And it's very interesting, on the day after the fire, I saw me on television being talked about by the news reporters, and they said, Dr. Kevin Scott of 1519 Golf Course Drive had a fire at his home and lost 2 of his daughters. And at that time, my medical degree from Howard meant absolutely nothing. Because what was important to me at that time was family. So if I have a word to leave with you, all the things that you've achieved is good, but it's not more important than family. So about a week or so after the fire, as we were in a temporary house, and by that time I was just getting used to hanging my head down. And I had one of my classmates who's actually here today, Dr. Kevin Ford, who came over to the house, and it seemed like he represented my entire class. And as I was sitting in a chair with my head bent down, he stooped down and looked up at me in my face. And he said, Kevin, you have to keep going on. And I remembered a poem that I learned when I was at Howard by a British author by the name of Rudyard Kipling. And he wrote a poem called If. And there's so many beautiful things in that poem, but the line that stood out to me at that time was, if you can watch the things you gave your life to broken and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. And it goes on to say, the world is yours and all that's in it, but what is more, you'll be a man, my son. So with encouragement from my class, with the things I've been taught at Howard, I had to muster up the ability to get back into the game. But it has changed me. I look at patients differently. I look at situations differently. This is not purely. There's a strong moral and spiritual thing in this. If you want to do well in medicine, treat your patients like family. So Dr. Joanne Wu, as you go on to orthopedics, if you wonder will they accept you, treat them like family. Jessica, as you go on to be one of the most awesome pediatricians, when you come across a 16-year-old girl who's way off track, and you slow down and talk to her for a minute and encourage her, she will change, and she will love you, and she'll respect you because you treated her like family. Morgan, as you go on to be a great neurologist, when you see those patients who are elderly and don't understand Parkinson's disease, and you can tell them about a 3 per second pill rolling tremor, you can talk about cogwheel rigidity, you can talk about mask-like faces, you can talk about a shuffling gait. They don't know what that means. But if you treat them like family and call them mom and call them dad, even though they're not your genetic mom and dad, they will love you and they'll take the medicine and they'll get better because you treated them like family. And Charles, as you go on to be one of the greatest surgeons to come out of Howard University, I pray that you develop a surgical cunning in your hands like never before. But one day you might be in the operating room and you will be finishing up a very important surgery, and everybody in the operating room respects you and your talents and your skills for how well you're doing. And you might get a call over the intercom in the middle of surgery, and the nurse will say, your wife is on the phone, and you'll say to yourself, my goodness, I'm in the middle of surgery, what does my wife want? And the nurse calls back and says, she said, on your way home, pick up a loaf of bread and a gallon of milk. Don't get upset. Don't trip. Finish your surgery, take the patient to the recovery room, wash the powder from your hands, dictate your note, get in your Porsche, drive home. Before you get home, stop off at 7-Eleven, get a gallon of milk and a loaf of bread. And to your family, you'll be the most awesome surgeon in the world. There's still a problem with health disparity. That's one of the things I learned from a Dr. Cornelli many years ago when I was a student at Howard. There's so much work for you young, bright minds to do. Don't forget the legacy of where you come from here at Howard University. Don't forget who you are. I'm reminded of a singer, Taylor Hicks, who was last year's American Idol winner. And he wrote and sang a song, "Do I Make You Proud?" And a very, very short part of it says, this is what we've dreamed about. And the only question with me now is, do I make you proud? So students, if that is your question to us, the answer is yes. You make us so proud. From the time when your mother put the first pencil in your hand, it taught you how to write your letters very neatly between the lines, even to now when you've proudly corrupted it into what's called doctor's handwriting. From all the beautiful people who have taught you and who have trained you, we are now going to pass the torch on to you and lean on you, because one day you may have to be our doctors. So in closing, I just want to say, yes, we are so proud of you. I want you all to go on and do great things. Just like a father, I want to say to you, don't forget where you came from. And don't forget where you're going. And then one day, perhaps, your children or grandchildren can go through the College of Medicine and see your picture hanging on the wall and proudly point it out to your friends and say, look, 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 this is my dad. And then their friends will laugh and say, oh, he had hair? So as you take the Hippocratic Oath today, and with your Howard diploma in your other hand, go on to reach heights like never before, you are absolutely positively the cream of the crop. You are Howard University's best. Know that.